to the Rotary Club of Greater Huntsville, to the our July 29th, the last Rotary meeting of the month. We've got a great program today. It's chock full, so I'm going to go ahead and jump in with my slides. And if you happen to hear me pause in my speaking, it's simply because I'm letting additional people into the meeting. But let's go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen. Okay, here we go. First of all, we would like to, at every meeting, just as we normally do, we would like to start off with our pledge, followed by our prayer. And our leader for the pledge today is Jay Billings. Is Jay with us? He might not have gotten on yet. Let's see.
Okay.
Well, did someone say something?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, please stand.
Oh, okay.
We're waiting for the flag.
The United States of America.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you very much, Jay. I'm sorry I didn't hear you at first. And then Jim French is going to lead us in prayer today. Jim?
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for our Rotary Club, for the opportunities to work together, to build friendships, to be of service to our fellow men. We also give you thanks at this time for government leadership, for realistic and rational leaders that serve unselfishly. We ask you also to give us strength and wisdom to move our feet, our actions, and our hearts in the directions that our lips espouse. We ask in the name of everything we hold sacred and dear. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Jim. And now let's move forward. Of course, our speaker today is going to be Sue Wagner from the Huntsville Botanical Gardens, but Jay Billings will introduce her very shortly. In addition, coming up, starting next week, we'll have our District Governor, Lee Weinman, then Josh Correa of Rocket City Trash Pandas giving an update, Pam Williams of the Huntsville-Madison County Convention Visitors Bureau, then Marie Bostic from the Land Trust of North Alabama. And then on September 9th, we're going to have David Spillers giving us an update on COVID-19 in Huntsville-Madison County. Also, I have, there's several announcements that have actually just come up, but the first one I wanted to bring up to you is you've heard us talk about our initiative in helping the Singing River Trail. Our support of that effort to provide greenways and to connect greenways across North Alabama and points beyond. And there's been a significant development in that program. I believe it's going to help that program make leaps and bounds forward once again after we get through COVID-19 and things get more back to normal. And to give us a little bit more details, I'd like to turn it to Carol Tevepaw for just a moment to tell us more about what's happened.
Thank you, Elizabeth. They made an announcement last week that we've been waiting for several months. The Singing River Trail Master Plan came out a few months ago, and then COVID hit, and there's been sort of a pause. But what was going on during that time was they were getting funds from the different municipalities and government agencies around, as well as working on a grant to be able to fund an executive director to really start pulling it and run with. And before, it has been pretty much a part-time effort. Now we've got an executive director, Dr. John Cabot. Some people may know him. He worked he was a professor at the University of Alabama in Huntsville in history. He's a UT graduate, go Vols. And he's got a lot of experience in grant writing, which is going to be very important for the Singing River Trails. This is a 70-mile greenway that's going to be connecting North Alabama. They're going to start out focusing on connecting Athens to Decatur and then over to Huntsville. So it's a very exciting thing for us. John is going to be a really, I think, excellent person to doing it. He's got the history background. He's a hiker. He's a biker. And he's got the love of history to bring it in. And he wants to bring in and focus on economic development, sustainability. And they're already very pleased to looking to work with our club and the Boy Scouts through the efforts of Reed Kloss and Curtis Hunt. So thanks to Reed and Curtis, then stay tuned. You'll be hearing from them. But this is overall a very good thing for the Singing River Trail that they've got somebody to pick it up and run with it now.
Okay,
Thank you,
awesome. Thank you very much, and thank you for bringing us that information, Carol. There we go. And then also with some another announcement, of course, we just finished our, for the month of July, finished our cleanup of the Veterans Memorial. So our next date will be August 29th at 8 a.m. If that might be subject to change due to weather, but more than likely it will be held on that particular date. There are some other things I wanted to, I wanted to allow our members to make announcements. I believe if Art Hardgrove is with us, I believe he is, I think he has a real quick announcement about the clock. No?
Okay, I'm
There he is.
unmuted now. On Monday, we succeeded in refurbishing the clock. Paul Freeman and Larry Creech and I were there to observe what the Verdun Tech did, and the clock is now fully operational again. The chimes are working. The time should be correct, and we have a whole new sound system and new lighting and a new controller board. We're no longer using a Dell Palm Pilot to power our clock. We have something a little more modern, and we should be good for another 10 to 15 years as long as we keep our annual maintenance up.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for your leadership on getting that together, making that happen. And thank you to all of the team that worked with you, our Rotarians who helped make all of that happen. So once again, thank you for making the clock and putting it in good shape for a long time to come. Thank you again. Okay. In addition, also, I wanted to show you just if you get a few pics to see the Rotarians in action at the Veterans Memorial. Those are just a few pictures, but you know, we had Rotarians and Scouts alike working to clean the park up, or the memorial up. It had been 2 months since it had been cleaned because we were not able to do a cleaning in June. So it took a bit more elbow grease to get it all spruced up, but by the end of the hour and maybe 10 minutes, it was looking really good again. So thank you all. Thank you, Rotarians, for participating, and our thanks to Reed Kloss for helping to coordinate that and make that a reality. Now, I have something very special today that we don't get to do every single meeting. I have the pleasure of being able to do an induction of a new member into our club. And we are going to be inducting Mr. Niall Clifton. Niall, if you would, just wave your hand a little bit so that people can see you there.
Hello, can you see me?
There we go. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. You've seen and met Niall before. He was attending meetings well before COVID-19. So he was at several of our luncheon meetings. So you may have had a chance to meet him at that time. But this, as I already mentioned to Niall, this is sort of an abbreviated induction right now until we can do the formal pinning ceremony and handing him his member packet and his pin and everything else when we actually get back in person. But I didn't want to miss out on this day. Fellow Rotarians, it's our privilege to invite a new member to our club. We do this to expand and improve our usefulness and influence as a club, and to extend the spirit of Rotary throughout the community. Today, we welcome into our ranks and admit to membership into the Rotary Club of Greater Huntsville, Niall Clifton. Now, you have been elected to membership, Niall, in our club because your fellow members believe that you're a worthy representative of your profession and that you possess the qualities that will permit you to exemplify the true spirit of Rotary in your public, business, social, and private life. In addition to joining the Rotary Club of Greater Huntsville, you also continue your association in a worldwide association of over 33,000 Rotary clubs around the globe. By virtue of your membership in our club, that means that you'll be welcomed into fellowship of any of those clubs around the world wherever you go. The honor and privilege of Rotary membership does include duties and obligations that we would ask you to complete, and those were discussed in your orientation. You're expected to attend our club meetings regularly, to perform your share of club service, and to place your knowledge and talents at the disposal of the club as we together carry the principles of Rotary into the daily life of our community as we engage with other Rotarians to change lives for the better. If you all, if our current members would please unmute your mics. All right. Rotarian Niall Clifton, as an officer of the Rotary Club of Greater Huntsville, it is my honor to formally admit you into membership into our club. And with that, I would like to ask all of our Rotary members to acknowledge you, welcome you to the club.
Welcome, Niall.
Welcome.
Welcome to the club, Niall.
Niall. Welcome,
A
Niall.
part of our Rotarian fellowship and all of the things that you, all of the programs and the events that you said that you were interested in participating. We encourage you to jump right in with both feet, because the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. And I have no fear or doubt that you will get a great deal out of it because of your enthusiasm for this, based on the things you've already discussed with us. So I look forward to having you as a member. You are now a member, and it will be great to get to know you.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate the warm welcome, and I look forward to working with all of you in the future.
Okay, excellent. All right.
Great.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for welcoming Niall into our club. Okay. Before we move on to our introducing our speaker, does anyone have an announcement, any additional announcement that they would like to make? Mary, do you have an announcement? I don't, okay. Does anyone have, excuse me, does anyone have, well, let me first of all talk to you about something we'll do a little bit differently. You know, we've always talked about our brag bucket, and we ask that anytime someone comes up to talk about a brag, that they, you know, place a certain amount of money into the bucket. Well, we'd like to call those happy dollars. So what that means is, it doesn't mean that you have to come up and brag about something. Tell us simply about something that you're happy about, or something that you're proud of, whether it's proud of something you've accomplished or proud of something that a friend, family member, or associate has accomplished. We'd love to hear from you in all of those different areas. So don't be put off by thinking, well, I'm going to have to brag about this or that. Don't worry about it. We just want to hear what's made you happy this past week or this past month or what have you, and what you're proud of. Because, you know, we can all certainly use, at this point in time, we can use any kind of positive note or positive announcement from our members. It will help us all out, and it'll help everyone's day be even better. So with that in mind, does anyone have any happy thought to announce to the rest of the club?
This is Ray Baker.
Yes, Ray.
I've got a really winner. I just completed being my 7th year of clearing of cancer. So
congratulations to you. Excellent.
So I'm cleared. I've got 1 more year to get to go. So that's my desire, and that's my happy day today.
Absolutely. That's wonderful news. Thank you for sharing that, Ray. Does anyone else have any other happy moment that they'd like to share? Mary, did you have
Yes,
anything else?
Go ahead, Cliff.
I'd like to make a share. Very good friend of mine, Army, longtime Army friend, unfortunately has contacted ALS, and my good friend Pete and I on Monday went over and built a platform for him so that he could install the lift that is going to be coming to his house and making it a lot easier for him to get out. And so I'm bringing it on Pete. Super. Again, Pete and I worked together for years on ramps and all types of different activities. But he deserves special recognition. This was because Pete was a friend and wanted to come over and help me. And so bragging on Pete.
Thank you very much for giving us that information. I really appreciate you sharing what you all are doing for that particular person. I think that's wonderful what you all are doing. And did the two of you just work, the two of you worked on that, or did you have more additional folks there?
I had one other Army colonel that came over that was also a friend of Bob's through the EOD field, and he came over and helped. So the three of us put it together and did a great job. The family's very happy, and they're going to be a lot more happier once we get the big ramp, big lift there and install that. But it went very, very well. Hot, and it was about 6 hours. 5 hours we were there. So
Yes.
good job for Pete.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that.
And Elizabeth, I have a couple of things.
Yes.
I know a lot of you know my youngest son, who's been to some of our meetings, is in the State Department. And we were really happy to find out that his first time up, he got tenured with the State Department.
Wow.
Sadly, just moved to Malta. And the day that they got to Malta, he tested his internet connection by checking his emails and found out he'd been promoted to major.
Wow.
Kind of a big couple of weeks for them.
Congratulations. That's wonderful news. Thank you.
And we have a
Awesome.
new initiative coming up. Look for your emails starting, it'll be probably the end of this week. We are starting a club newsletter. And that's a way to try to keep us all connected. It's electronic. I'm not an editor. So if anybody has any suggestions after our inaugural edition, please just let me know. But it's just a way to keep us connected and let people who can't come to our meetings know about what's going on in the club.
And I want to say one thing, Mary volunteered to do that. And I think it's an excellent program, an excellent way for us all, additional way for us to keep in touch and to provide more information than maybe we have the time to provide in our regular meetings. So thank you very much for taking on that and many other things, but that will help us all stay connected even better. So thank you very much. Well, now with that, I would like to turn it over to Jay Billings, who will introduce our speaker today. Jay?
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's my pleasure to introduce Sue Wagner to the club. She's the CEO for the Huntsville Botanical Garden. She came here last October after a countrywide search for a replacement for the previous CEO. All of us are friends of the garden, so Sue, you've got a very friendly audience today to speak to. Sue came here from the Morton Arboretum in Chicago. It's a 1,700-acre garden, and so I guess the question at the end is Cubs or White Sox. I don't know about that, but and then before that she was with the Adler Planetarium in Chicago, so she's got her eye on space as well. Prior to that, she was a teacher, and she's nationally published in many areas, interested in plant ecology, and I think we're going to have a very good presentation. So, Sue, I'm going to give you all the time you need. Thanks. I'm Mike now.
Thank you for the introduction, Jay. I'm thrilled to be here with you today, even though it's virtual. It's okay. We're together. And I'm just really excited to share with you the vision and direction of the garden through both an overview and offering some examples of how the garden will be looking forward in this vision for the future. And so in my presentation today, I'm going to talk about what is a public garden first. We'll start there. And then we'll learn a little bit more about the mission and vision of the garden, and then understand what can that look like in action, and what is the impact of the garden's activities in the short, medium, and long term. So let's talk about illuminating the vision for the garden. I'm really excited about this and curious to know if you could wave your hand. How many of you have been to the garden? How many of you have been to the Huntsville Botanical Garden? Fantastic, yay, we have fans out there. So I hope that this conversation today will get you excited about the garden's present and future. So let's talk about what is a public garden. So as Jay has mentioned, I've had experience working at the Morton Arboretum, which is the largest public garden and arboretum in the country. And it was part of an organization called, and is part of an organization called American Public Gardens Association, along with other organizations. And in being part of those professional organizations and being part of a large garden, it becomes clear as to what public gardens come together to accomplish. And a public garden is truly dedicated to collecting, cultivating, preserving, and displaying plants. It's an institution that maintains collections of plants for the purposes of public education and enjoyment, and it has to be open to the public, and our resources and accommodations must be made to our visitors. Public gardens are staffed by professionals who are trained in education, in horticulture, and public engagement, in conservation, and all things that are professional with regard to the operations of the garden. Gardens, public gardens or botanical gardens, are dedicated to the collection and cultivation, preservation, and display of a wide range of plants labeled with their botanical names. Some gardens contain specialist plant collections, herb gardens, and plants from particular areas of the world. And in our case, our garden is focused on the particular plants that represent the biodiversity of northern Alabama. And there can be greenhouses, shade houses, again, with special collections such as oak trees and woody plants and other native plants. Botanical gardens usually incorporate education programs, art and cultural exhibitions, open air theater performances, and other entertainment that help people get to know the garden and see it as a community place and engage with the garden. The Huntsville Botanical Garden's basic framework is a series of large open spaces that sit within natural woodland areas, and that provides us with an opportunity for visitors to explore galleries of trees and plants, many of which are unique to the region. We are dedicated to the highest standard of professionalism in our field. The Huntsville Botanical Garden is a member of the American Public Gardens Association, the North American Plant Consortium, and the American Horticultural Society. The garden has recently become a level 2 accredited arboretum, also through ArbNet. So public gardens have missions that drive their activities. So how does our mission, the Huntsville Botanical Gardens mission and vision, reflect the purpose of a public garden? Our mission, in summary, is to inspire our community to sow, grow, and discover. The garden exists to connect people to plants in order to preserve the unique biodiversity of North Alabama, resulting in a healthier quality of life for the region. Our catalyzing activities are focused on our regional community. We inspire many visitors from near and far, but the cornerstone of the garden is this community, those who have membership, those who support, and those who volunteer their time to steward the mission. Our vision is to inspire, encourage, and catalyze our community to take part in conserving our regional ecosystem. The garden aspires to participate in the national community of tree and plant conservation and lead initiatives that conserve living plant collections that can be sustained in an urban environment and result in healthier communities. And isn't that what we want for our community? We want to have a healthy and happy quality of life. Our mission-driven efforts hold the promise of local, national, and even global impact. And I'm so excited about that. So what does our mission and vision look like in action? That's a lot of words, but we need to talk about what does that really look like in our course of action. So one could position our actions as what's called a theory of change. So I have a science background, and I like to think about our strategy in terms of hypothesis. And what that means is we position our strategy as, if we do this today, if we do these activities today, that over time, in 1 to 5 years, we would create a near-term change. And over a longer period of time, we would create a long-term impact. And so there are specific activities that we would choose to do that would help build people, our communities, love and care for plants and for our environment. And over time, we would expect that people would grow to love and care and take care of their own backyards and their own environments in ways that would lead to a long-term impact for our region. And that long-term impact would mean that we would continue to green, it's called greening, but green our urban landscape and increase and support the biodiversity that is Northern Alabama. And it is what scientists know us for. So it's an exciting thought to think about, this is the direction the garden can go. And so then we have to think about, what can we do to help support that theory of change? What activities will we choose to do? And so one of the activities that we've begun to do over time is collect plants. And so the question is, what are plant collections and why do we even have them? So a plant collection is a difference between a botanical garden and a park. Public gardens differ from parks in that we are dedicated to collecting and documenting plants, not just for growing them for aesthetics or recreation. We're essentially like a museum. In fact, public gardens are museums and can be accredited through the American Alliance of Museums. Like a museum, we can house exhibits, and these exhibits consist of living collections. So it's a little bit different than being indoors. You're outdoors and you see these collections of plants. And these whole plants are actively growing and can be defined by the plants themselves. They can be defined by their seeds or by dried, what's called herbarium specimen, with themes and associated information that provides context for why it needs to be there. So plant collections can be based on historical gardens or particular eras. That can be based on species found in particular habitat types, like eastern temperate forests of North America, or this particular area. Plant collections can be defined by their taxonomic groups. You may have heard of our Trillium collection at the Huntsville Botanical Garden. That's a taxonomic group for which we are known for and accredited by the APGA. Not every plant grown on property is part of a collection. Seasonal displays for aesthetics and temporary exhibits are generally not part of an accession plant collection. An accession is an individual plant that we assign a unique identifier, and we commit to maintaining documentation on it for purposes of study and understanding the impacts of the environment on that plant over time. It becomes part of our collection's record keeping. So why do we want to collect plants then? Well, we want to collect plants to display the native beauty and biodiversity of North Alabama, and that's what distinguishes our garden from other gardens. We want to conserve the flora of the southeastern United States. We want to support our local ecosystem so that we have a healthy ecosystem. And we want to have our plant collection serve as a foundation for educational outreach programs. And then finally, we provide materials and data from that plant collections for research. And we've begun to make great efforts and strides in that direction by working with our local universities and beginning to talk about partnership with Hudson Alpha. Our plant collections are what differentiates one garden from another and provides information to plant scientists and conservationists that will support study and conservation efforts that keep our city and natural areas healthy and green. So there are other activities that we do in order to support our mission. And one of them is to create a visitor experience that helps people engage with some of our plant collections and some of our teachings that we want to help the public understand. One of these new projects is called Tweetsville. And you can see here a rendering that we are looking at for building out Tweetsville. We're excited to be working on this enhancement of the children's garden. This project is an 18,000 square foot enhancement to the garden, the children's garden specifically, and focuses on birds and birding, and it's set in a native plant ecosystem model. It will feature a really cool bird watch station where guests of all ages can observe birds in their native habitats, as well as an interactive educational area for students as well as adults. The bird watch station is really a key feature. A quiet fenced-in landscape with a water feature will provide a place for birds to rest and nest and eat, and then there will be a shelter with one-way glass that you can enter, and it will enable you to observe the birds in their natural habitats. Some of the other interactive features of Tweetsville include the specialized homes. They're little tiny homes that help children and adults see how they can incorporate different plants, especially native plants, in ways in their landscape that would attract birds and other pollinators. There'll be oversized nests, a birdhouse entrance. You'll be able to walk through a birdhouse that says Sea Rocket City painted on its roof. And there'll be other habitat features to help people understand more about birds and the natural ecosystem in which they live. So that's one example of an activity that we're looking forward to doing. Another is, it's pretty big activity. It's a youth volunteer program that we wish to begin next summer. This is a summer program that would go for approximately 8 to 10 weeks for kids ages 14 through 18. And this program allows kids to explore career paths in horticulture, education, and conservation, and catalyzes youth to take action on behalf of the environment. As a public garden with trained professionals, it's our mission to educate our community on conservation efforts that will conserve the valuable biodiversity found in trees and plants in our region for the next generation. One way the garden seeks to do this is by developing and equipping the next generation of environmental stewards through the creation of this youth volunteer program. Technological advances are changing the way we all live. The societal shift is leading to more screen time for children, and we're concerned. As a consequence, many, our today's generation of children is the first to grow up indoors and looking at screens, which has triggered a response by many experts with regard to outdoor education, such as Richard Louv and others, and they've illuminated the benefits of building a connection to nature. Today's children, today's youth, must first experience nature on their own terms before they can be asked to consider and address our more complex environmental issues that we're going to count on them to be thinking about as we continue to grow older as a society. Children need the opportunity to develop a personal connection with nature by spending more time outdoors. As they spend more time outdoors, they fall in love with nature. They fall in love with plants and trees. And when you fall in love, you begin to care and you begin to think about, what can I do to make this particular situation better? One of another needs for the program is the real threat to preserving our green spaces for the future. Horticulture or plant science is currently facing a crisis. Did you know there aren't enough people to fill the positions that are needed to do this very important work? As older plant growers and nursery managers and groundskeepers retire, there are too few people to replace them. And I can honestly tell you that here, I am seeing that. It is very difficult to find people with plant science background. More employers are calling them, and there are not enough students to fill the jobs. And according to a recent study, nearly 58,000 jobs have become available each year in agriculture and horticulture related positions, but only 61% of them are filled by qualified graduates. So many people, young people especially, lack a basic awareness of plants and their value. They may see plants, but they have that green blindness. They can't be expected to consider a career in plant science or plant research or conservation. They can't care about protecting the environment for the future if they don't even understand the impact of plants on their lives, if they are not touched by that experience. And this is where the Huntsville Botanical Garden will be able to lead and make a difference with its youth volunteer program. So as I mentioned before, it's an 8 to 10 week summer program that will provide teens with an opportunity to learn about nature, develop work and leadership skills, make new friends, and earn volunteer hours for college applications and resumes. They're going to be required to serve a minimum of 30 hours, but may serve more if they choose. All the students are going to go through an application process and then attend an orientation and training session prior to beginning, much like an onboarding process for a job, to help them gain real life experience. This is really about real life, genuine STEM education. In developing the curriculum for this program, our garden plans to expose students to rigorous real life science experiences. During the summer, the students will work alongside our staff, industry professionals, and fellow volunteers as they plant and care for the gardens in our habitats. They're going to explore different career paths by working with staff from horticulture, plant science, conservation, and education. They will work alongside researchers to conduct research and present on local environmental issues. And they're going to learn about invasive species management and how it affects our environment by working on invasive plant removal. They're going to learn how to record plants, keep plant accession records, and learn why it's important to document those things. And together over time, we're going to create an action plan for these students to go out and promote environmental sustainability that can be carried out in our community and beyond our region. They'll participate in field training to learn about ecosystems and assist educators in the summer science camp program that's also being revamped, and assist with current research projects and learn about landscape design. We know this community places a high value on STEM education along with the garden. So in developing this, we want to expose them to rigorous real life science experiences and have specific outcomes that can be measured as a result of the program. We're expecting them to have access to green space in natural settings, gain hands-on experience and knowledge that can be measured over time in nature conservation while gaining plant knowledge through environmental stewardship. They'll be exposed to different horticulture and conservation career paths. They're going to be able to take the knowledge they've acquired and catalyze members of their family and community to take action on behalf of plants. By researching environmental issues, they're going to gain skills necessary to conduct real field research. They will earn service hours that enhance their college and job applications. And they will meet students from all over the area and learn to collaborate as a team. Through the work they perform, they will be supporting the garden's mission of connecting people to plants, and we will be able to measure that impact through a number of evaluation methods. The long-term outcomes of the program are what's really going to affect all of us. Following the achievement of these short-term outcomes, it's our desire that students develop that deep connection to our community, stay in the community, support not only the garden's mission, but continue that support through the work they do in taking care of their own community and nature. We expect that over time, and we see that through research that's been done on programs such as these, that students will internalize the importance of conservation and develop stewardship mindsets. We'll have individuals who are interested in pursuing careers in plant science, plant conservation, and research. Therefore, they will be able to positively impact the environment and the employment shortage. And our regional landscape will be improved by this ongoing stewardship of the volunteers. Young volunteers can make a very valuable contribution supporting the mission of the garden. And think about it, we have a number of volunteers here now. We have about 2,000 who are aging. They are aging and they need help. They need that intellectual capital transfer to the next generation. By having this group of volunteers, we are growing that next generation of green professionals and growing that next generation of those who will care for our environment as we all grow older. So in addition to the youth volunteer program, we have to think about how do we engage our community in the garden during times where they might not necessarily think about us as being open or being available to the community. We want to engage the public in connecting them to people and plants. And one way we can do that is through what we're calling right now the Summer Nights Experience 2021. We were going to launch this experience this year, but we all know what happened, COVID-19. But we're going to try again next year. Our goal is to increase our financial stability and sustainability by creating an ongoing opportunity in the evening to generate revenue to increase our financial flexibility and ability to do our mission-related activities. We want to maintain and grow our memberships because those memberships support the garden's mission. The memberships really are donations and they support the work of the garden. We want to create something that is surprising and unique that will highlight the unique landscape of our garden and our core mission of connecting people to plants. And we really want to satisfy visitor expectations of a follow-up. For example, last year we had Chinese lanterns and it was a hit. And people were saying, well, what's next? What is the garden going to do next? And so this helps to satisfy that need in the community. Of course, we want to expand our audience. We want to continue to grow our membership and expand our audience to audiences that are far and wide and looking for something very special, surprising, and delightful to do in the evening. By doing this, we'll continue to enhance our reputation. We have a community, regional, and public garden reputation as an organization that is capable of offering significant cultural events. We are looking to offer significant cultural events that express our mission activities, and help bring people closer to plants, care about plants. So another example of an action that we would like to take for the future. So what is the impact of these actions on our community? Well, I'd like you to take a moment to imagine this. Imagine that the garden was contributing meaningful research to international conservation efforts that benefit our community and communities around the world. Imagine the garden leading the charge to increase the tree canopy and plant cover in urban spaces throughout the entire region to improve the quality of life for everyone. Imagine the garden's volunteers deployed to far-reaching communities to teach others about plant science, even though they cannot physically be at the garden. Imagine every visitor, no matter if they are here for a private event, a wedding, a class, a program, shopping in the gift shop, anything. Imagine if they all left the garden understanding how they can impact the green space around them and they felt empowered to take action. That's the dream of the garden. This is your call to action. Imagine what our garden can be in 5 years, 10 years, even 50 years. This is our vision, and I'm inviting you to be part of it. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Sue. I appreciate that. You've got lots of fascinating things going on, or plans to go on as soon as we're able to do those things. I do, as you mentioned, let's open it up for questions from our members. Who has a question?
I would ask, what is the attendance in the gardens these days?
Attendance is fairly good considering that we are experiencing the impact of COVID-19. It's at about 70% right now. So yes, it does impact our revenue, definitely.
Thanks.
And Sue, I know that you talked at great length about your program to engage youth and to bring in youth volunteers. What are you doing now to, are you thinking about doing virtual training or orientation program for those potential youth volunteers to get the young people involved now, or do you want to wait until you're able to do the full out in-person type of program?
Oh, great question. Well, quite literally what we're doing now is building the program for impact and going to foundations and other donors to explore opportunities for support for this type program. Mm-hmm. And our intention is to look at a hybrid approach to reaching youth volunteers next year. And that would include using digital means as well as meeting with the students in person.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
Susan, this is Ray Baker. You're a close neighbor there. The Space and Rocket Center has just announced a major funding issue, based, I'm sure, the head count issue, and you did that you're only have about 70%. Or how's the garden doing in terms of its finances under this situation to implement some of these great plans you talked about?
As soon as we saw COVID-19 coming around the bend, we immediately pivoted and thought about where could we immediately cut our expenses and really hunker down and prepare for this situation. And we were able to secure permission from the state's attorney general to open earlier because we are an outdoor facility, and that helped us tremendously in building our revenue through admissions, even though other museums and other public places were not open yet. So we, I think, bore the brunt of COVID-19 in a very creative way here. The situation with the revenue is still something that we are constantly monitoring and managing expenses and looking for creative ways to engage with our audience. We are engaging through a common platform now called Zoom, and we'll be using this platform in a webinar format to provide adult programming in the very near future, so stay tuned. We are looking for ways to continue to communicate with all of you and provide programs to all of you this fall that look very different from the past, not only due to COVID, but because it's something that people are looking for. People are looking for flexibility in terms of when they want to learn. They like to learn in the evening after work, or they may want to learn at a time that's convenient for them. And so we are revamping our education programming so that it is responsive and relevant to our community. And so by doing so, and by looking at other grant opportunities related to education and plant conservation, we have other revenue streams that we are rapidly approaching and trying to secure for the next few years.
Hey, Sue?
Yes.
Charles Winters with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Just wanted to check and see, from how far away are you seeing folks come to visit the garden? I know the majority of folks are local, but from what states are they coming?
Charles, that's a good question. The perception is that we see visitors from all over. The reality is our core visitors are coming from Madison County, and we do have occasional visitors from other surrounding states like Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, Kentucky, and so on. But the majority of people who are visiting are coming from Madison County.
Hey Sue, it's Paul Freeman. I have a question. Do you still plan to do the Galaxy of Lights this fall?
Absolutely, yes.
Good. Thank you, because that's always a great source for people to have a chance to come to the garden and see what all we have here in Huntsville.
Yes.
Sue, Jim TV, Paul. I wonder if you could comment on the interesting relationship that's developing between the garden and Hudson Alpha.
Oh, I'm happy to comment on that relationship. So we have a director of plant conservation and curation, Tracy Cook, and myself, and also director of learning and public engagement, Rebecca Turk, working with some of the scientists at Hudson Alpha to understand better what the research needs are in the area of plant genomics. And so we are exploring that right now and have been involved fairly recently in some grant proposals that we are working on currently. And they are very focused on plant genomics, understanding some of that biodiversity that I had mentioned before that's located in our region. And we need to understand more about that, because as our environment continues to change, become warmer, and so on, we have to understand what is it about those plants that cause them to survive and thrive. And so we're excited about that partnership, as well as partnerships with the University of Alabama, Huntsville, and Auburn, and others.
Okay, excellent. Do we have the last call for questions? Do we have any additional questions? Awesome. Well, I also think it's fascinating the vision you have of increasing the canopy of trees in our community. I think that would be excellent. Look forward to that in ways that we can all help make that a reality.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation today. I've learned a great deal about. Didn't realize all the new initiatives that you had going, but I'm certainly not surprised. So with that, thank you again, Sue, for presenting to us today. And we're now at the point where, and let me bring myself back online here. Sorry about that. We're now at the point where we're going to close out our day. And thank you all for attending the event today. And we have one more thing that we're going to do, and I'm going to share my screen for that. So bear with me one moment. Let's see, where am I? There we go. We are going to end our program with the four-way test. Let me bring it up where it's readable. Of all the things we think, say, and do, number one,
Is it true?
number two,
Is it true?
number three,
Will it build goodwill?
will better friendships, and number four, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you all for attending. Thank you again, Sue, for being our presenter today. We truly enjoyed it. I hope everyone has a great week. Please stay safe, stay healthy. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Welcome, Niall. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.